大家好，我是何雅琪。我现在呢在英国的苏格兰皇家音乐学院攻读爵士吉他硕士。作为我们系建立以来唯一的一位中国人，我今天非常的荣幸邀请到我们爵士系的系主任 Tommy Smith， 专门为我们中国的爵士爱好者以及将来可能走出国门学习爵士乐的同学们做一次深度的采访。好了，让我们热烈的欢迎我们的 Dr. Tommy Smith.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi. Tommy, actually I'm so excited for the interview today because this is a radio record specifically for Chinese students and jazz fans, which means that RCS and you attach great importance to Chinese jazz fans, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important for us to reach out to the Chinese audience, particularly because I've been there to Guangzhou, and I met many talented young Chinese players and saw that they had a really great infrastructure with great equipment, but I didn't see many teachers there. The teachers I saw were from Australia and America. They were not Chinese, and I think that after receiving many applications from Chinese students to study here, I think we can do more to reach out to them, because we can certainly teach them to become really great teachers of jazz and players of jazz, so they can help China in the future.
Yeah. And actually we know that you are a famous jazz saxophonist. Could you tell us something about your recorded albums and your favorite music style in jazz? Actually, I have some of those CDs. Yeah. Really, fantastic.
Well, I've been recording since I was 16 years old, so I have made about 30 solo recordings. Most of them are in jazz. My latest one was with the BBC Scottish Symphony Orchestra, which was a hybrid between classical music and improvised music. But I obviously prefer pure jazz in small clubs. When you take it out to a bigger stage, it's much more challenging for the audience and the musician to communicate. But I like all types of music as long as it's really good. You know, I don't mind.
Yes. Oh, I think Chinese jazz fans will be looking forward to hearing all your albums. So where can they enjoy your albums? Buying or listening MP3 on the website?
Well, I've shared some of the files with you. You're welcome to give them to your friends, but if people want to get them, they can find them on Amazon or iTunes or Spartacus Records. We have records of the Scottish National Jazz Orchestra and my youth orchestra, which is a really talented group of young players, and there's lots of places to find them, but you know, you can spread the word as well for free, like water.
Yeah. You have so many amazing albums. So have you planned a jazz tour to China in the near future? Because I think the limitation of jazz resources in China, there will be more jazz fans looking forward. You will come to China for performing a great concert.
Well, I would love to go. The main hurdle always is the Chinese promoter or the agent who can book that for you. That's the barrier.
I can arrange for you.
So we have like I have an agent in Germany, and we have one in Norway, and we have one in the UK, and they deal with their country, but we don't know anyone in China. It's like a big wall that we can't get through. So we will tour anywhere. I mean, I've toured Yemen, Pakistan, a lot of dangerous places, but also a lot of non-dangerous places, you know, like Italy and Japan and whatever, but never China. But I'd love to.
Yeah, we're really looking forward. Can you talk about how to practice effectively? And because I know there are a lot of jazz courses and skills are so complicated, and how to be a professional jazz musician?
That's a lot of questions there. How to practice effectively?
Yeah.
Well, I always think that you have to record yourself when you practice and listen back and try and be objective if you can and try and hear where your weaknesses are. I mean, you can always have a teacher, but sometimes it's hard to find a teacher. If you don't have a teacher, you have to be the teacher. So listen to yourself and find out if you think that your time is good, your sound, your intonation, your thematic development of your improvisation, and then work out a plan. So, for example, if I was recording myself, I would listen back and I would say, okay, maybe I have a problem in this area. So I would then focus on that weakness and try and make it stronger by just focusing on that. And through time, the weaknesses become stronger. But sometimes students can't identify what their weaknesses are. That's why they come here to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, so we can help them. But there's many ways to practice. But you have to practice every day.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, tomorrow you'll wish you practiced harder yesterday. Always in the future you'll think, I should have worked a little harder. What was the second part of the question?
How to be a professional musician, jazz musician?
Well, in the 21st century, it's more challenging because there are many more players and there are less record companies investing in instrumental players. So a lot of my friends have, like Branford Marsalis and Bill Evans, very famous saxophone players, they've began their own record companies. And so they invest in their own product and they get distribution in different countries, which is also very difficult. If you're very lucky, and it's mostly the singers, they get really good record deals, and that comes with a lot of marketing, because to get known you have to be marketed. And I was lucky when I was 20, I had a deal with Blue Note Records, so they put a lot of money into me. But our students today, it's much more difficult, so they have to do a lot of the work themselves and use the social media and internet and all that to push their talent to the public. Yeah.
So we know that you are not only a leading saxophonist in Europe, but also a composer and educator. Which identity is your favorite, and how do you balance the three identities? Because I guess it's really, really hard to handle all the things clear.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think that having too many jobs can be difficult, but when I was 20 and touring the world with this group, I never wanted to do education. I never wanted to lead a big band or have a record company. I just wanted to do that. But from the age of 18 to 21, after going around the world and seeing what other countries had, I noticed that Scotland didn't have a jazz school and it didn't have a jazz orchestra. And other countries had many. Because there's 504 jazz schools in the world and our country had 0. And so all the students in Scotland were going to either the 5 universities in England, or they were going to Wales or Berlin or Amsterdam or America. And they weren't staying here, there was no choice. So it took about 11 years to establish this course here, and we began in 2009. But it was very difficult to be the last in Europe to have a jazz course. But after fighting hard, focusing on it, it happened. But someone had to do it, and no one was prepared to give up their own career to do that. And when I was a kid, my community helped me go to school in America when I was 16. They raised money and paid for it, and I thought I could give something back by trying to help start the school here and also the National Jazz Orchestra, which we never had either. So it's a lot of balls in the air, because we've got the school and I got the orchestra, and the youth orchestra and the record company and the playing. It's very hard to balance, but you have to just work and try and plan properly and have lots of people helping you, So.
we know, you are the founder of RCS Jazz Department. So how many majors are available in our jazz department so far, and what jazz course do we offer?
Well, we have two. We've got the BMUS course and the MUS course for the master students. And the undergrad course is structured in a way that the student can have, a kind of three-dimensional experience. So we have music business, which I find very important, in every year.
Yeah, I really like
not,
music business.
You like that? Well, most courses do it in fourth year at the end. But I remember when I was at Berkeley, when I was 16, 17, my favorite class was music business. And you learn so much in that class that helps you when you leave. So we do it every year, not just in the last year, because it takes a long time for students to kind of grasp some of the ideas, and you have to repeat certain things, and finally they really are very knowledgeable about the music business. So that's one element. But we do, the usual jazz history, but we do it in kind of three parts. So we have transcription, we have the historical part, but we have the playing of the history and the different styles, going from early jazz all the way to free jazz in first year. And then this classical chord scales, which you came the other day and experienced, where each student composes a piece of music based on an exotic scale. And we were using Japanese scale, the Iwoto scale the other day, and they all had to compose a song for the instrumentation of the class, and we record it, and then we talk about it and see which ones we like. And then there's the jazz repertoire, which is the standard repertoire, and then original jazz composition. And then we've got the rhythm section skills. So we have all our first years play drums, bass, and piano, so they can experience what the roles are in those instruments. Because a lot of the saxophone players and trumpet players, they're kind of floating around and they don't see what the role is of the pianist or the drummer or the bassist. It's really important for them to get involved and see, well, if you have to keep time for the entire piece, what is that like? Instead of just floating on top like a bird and paying no attention to the rhythm or the groove or the harmonic structure. So the course is quite dynamic. It's evolving. We've got arranging for big band. We've got various ensembles and composition for jazz orchestra. And it's constantly evolving, and ear training, of course.
So it's definitely so many useful courses.
Yeah, I think our course is similar to other courses, but we have our strength is that we're small, and the students here have opportunities to play in Glasgow and Edinburgh and at the festivals in Scotland, because they've created a really good scene for themselves. So, for example, if you're a bass player, you can play 6 nights a week in Glasgow at various jazz clubs.
Yeah, so we have a lot of performance.
If you're proactive and if you're good, and people want you in their band, you're going to be able to play. So there's opportunities there, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I guess nowadays there are so many conservatoires in the world have been set up jazz departments, such as USA and in France. So do you think what makes us different compared with the jazz department in other countries?
Well, it's definitely the fact that we're small and we can focus on the student more. We have more teachers in each year than the students, and we only choose the best students, 6, 7 a year, that's it. So you're in a group with like-minded students who will inspire each other. And the opportunities in Glasgow are very good because the students can get to play professionally outside the conservatoire in live performances, which is an incredible experience for young people. When I was at Berkeley College, I could never get a gig because there was 500 teachers and 2,000 students, and all the teachers had the gigs. So I didn't have an opportunity to play. But here, that opportunity exists. So that's a different, I think that would be the difference. Even in London, people who go there, it's very hard for them to get a lot of work professionally because the work's already taken up by all the professionals there. So you've got to balance the yin and the yang. You know, sometimes you might think, well, I will go to London because it's London and I can see shows and there's all these great players that go there. But again, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure, there's not so many opportunities for you to find your voice or promote yourself. Here, I find when students come from England to study here, they don't go home.
Yeah.
They stay here after they graduate. I always say, why are you still here?
Glasgow is a music city.
Why don't you go home? And the players say, I like it here. And it's a music city, like you said, yeah.
So I think there will be a lot of Chinese jazz musicians who want to start in RCS after today's interview. In order to experience such an amazing learning opportunity here, so how could Chinese students to apply a position in RCS?
Well, they have to follow your advice, and you've done it, and you're the very first Chinese student to ever come here, and you were asked to join the community here because of your great playing, and that's how you got in. So you would be the one best to tell the Chinese audience how they do it, because you have to go through a certain process, and that's you have to play on a video, and you have to play this song called Oleo, and it's rhythm changes, and you have to improvise and show us what you can do, not copy another solo like a transcription. That's something we don't kind of like. We like people to show how they can improvise personally.
Yeah. But if the audition is recorded,
yeah,
which aspect will be important to assess the candidates, do you think?
I think the presentation, their grasp of the English language, and also their improvisation. That's the main thing that we look for. So if they've got great time, great harmonic sense, they react to what they're hearing, they have some thematic development, some ideas which are told in a kind of storytelling way through the improvisation, and you know, an ounce of originality. But I think that the improvisation is the most important part. Very, very important.
Yeah, and so the audition can be a live performance or a recording.
Yes, especially as far away as China, it can be definitely recorded, and we can have a team of people look at that, and we grade it. We grade every aspect. We grade the harmonic aspect, the improvisation, the thematic development, the time, the presentation. We grade each element, and then we come up with overall grade just from that video alone. So it's really important that it's presented and played to the best of the student's ability.
Yeah. Okay. I'm really enjoying the video interview today. Many thanks for Dr. Tommy Smith. Give Chinese jazz fans and Chinese students so many useful tips, and sharing your excellent music composition to us. I would strongly recommend Chinese students to choose studying in RCS. They will be getting an unprecedented jazz experience here, I think. Yeah, thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
And I will teach you a simple Chinese language.
Okay.
欢迎你来 RCS.
欢迎你来
RCS.
RCS.
Quite simple.
That's very simple.
欢迎你来 RCS. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
欢迎你来
RCS.
Okay.
Okay.
I gotta get my timing right.
Oh.
Tusen Dank.
the light and the dark, and leading all his people to light, for he's the king of the fire. He breathes the fire into everything that's living on earth, in the sun, in the stars. Take a spark of it deep within you, put it to the test, it will do the rest. I confess, it'll be like climbing up on Everest. I can't express the truth from there, but it's for you to follow through. Mama, show the powers right away. Bless the climb and settle peace upon the universe's darkest day. And Jesus, remember every promise made. Present yourself in the middle of the pregnancy. Preserve us all along the way. Keep us clear of the final thunderbolt of the judgment day. Great Tommy Smith. Way up in the mountain itself for the world, up in a house right on the edge of everything, where the time is tumbling in a vortex, the nexus of timetable tides. In the final lighthouse, a shining earth sending, at the spinning of the finishing of streaming tides. Driving sun as like a stampeding, careening, washing, charging, advance. Digging the sound of passing everything away into the secret of eternity's pivot dance. Breaking down, crashing doorways, bashing through three plays. Smash and mash, erase, everything goes to the open mouth of Golly Bar, where the vault of heaven opens. A witness as lonely as forgotten tears keeps a vigil watching all even light go out. One witness, one child taking the slaving wheel of meat, spitting out, taking out everything by the roots, pulling out the lot of water, passing through the past like a tree. She knows what is gone over. everyone that is done. And I've begun starting from the super micro compact over all the way to super huge galactic suns. And she knows the beginning is coming in the sweep at the end of all. Even gods have passed over away. Then one day the shadow of a priest on the horizon appeared. He wasn't taken up into the swirling. He walked with purpose all the while taking his ears to the bedrock like a man. But as he came into view, the witness saw him crying. Tears of blood fell to earth as he watched heaven disappear in the void of the Trinity, the Paraboloid. Realizing it all, everything, everywhere into his eyes, seeing it all here without one out of his other way. Here in the sense of such a day, tearing all meaning away. And to the witnesses indifference, he had this to say. And all on earth, and all by death, and health, the life goes out to men. The life departing, powerless, giving it up. But in the best indifference, I get there to deep meaning. I'm the one who will say, use the will every day, or go. Against the infinite side of it. Use every power you're given to stand and act like a man. And to pray every day to every god. Strike the bolt of heaven and the rain will be on the law. Build the bridges where you need to go. Bring the fire of the light and then here's a light below. Speak mercy to the things you need. Listen up to hear the whisper of the much you need. Stay away, no mistake. Dance the dream away. Tommy Smith, Alan Kosker, Colin Gooley, Tommy Smith.